Wales. I'm still in Wales until next week. And then I'm going back to London on Friday. So I'll be in London next week. And not really much different, really. It'll be blank walls and me sitting there, maybe with a different guitar, not being able to play. Never mind, I will be back in London next week. It will be lovely, it will be lovely, it will be. Yes. And I still won't be able to play it. And I'm still going to try. Is that an F? I don't know. It might be a B and it's all out of tune. Yes. So, this last week I had some people unsubscribing because they didn't like my video. That's fine. It's like, what am I supposed to do? The trouble is I had planned to do loads of exciting videos going here, there and everywhere. I kept saying that, but you know, when your dad's brakes fail and you can't go anywhere and you haven't got a car, what are you supposed to do? Hello, Philip. So, you know, sorry. I think the person had subscribed because of something like Raglan Castle. I would have loved to go and see Raglan Castle. I was actually planning to go and see St. Breville's Castle, which is not exactly the ancestral home, but my father's family came from there, and there's a lovely, lovely little castle there. Yes, there isn't though. There isn't. I mean, I could, but I'm just being like, well, because I came here. And then I wasn't feeling very well. And then it's been really, really, really dull and horrible. And freezing cold and horrible. And my coat broke. And I've got terrible... It is... Yeah, it's very ruined. It is nice. I've got a video about Raglan Castle. So if you want to see it. Just before I signed on today, I put to go live. And I was like, what? Because it said I couldn't because of my channel wasn't eligible. And I was really like, oh no, what have I done? And then I realised that I'd signed into a different channel because I'm also running PBH's Free Fringe channel, which hasn't got as many videos and anything. And so I was like, oh. So I very nearly didn't make it even at all here tonight. I'm just not really together in any way, shape or form. No. Just all over the place. Completely all over the place. I'm just going to leave this here. So there's the woods. If it was last time I went in the woods, I felt like I was going to get fall down the mountain, and also I could go no end of places, but it's been so cold and I felt so horrible and I've got so many excuses and there's no excuse. I'm just like, oh. But I mean, everywhere that's around here I've already been. I've got videos about every single place that's within walkable distance from here. So, I don't know, really. Maybe I'll try and do something more. But if it's slightly better weather. But it's just been so miserable and horrible. So miserable. But if you want to see this area where I'm living, where I'm staying for this week, then just go and see any of my, 1,100 videos or something I've got. So, yes, I understand that my channel's got a little bit sort of meh. But the weather doesn't help now. So, and me feeling absolutely terrible doesn't help. And I didn't really pick up until yesterday. And I'm just like, go for a walk. But then it was horrible. And it's horrible out. Look at it. Look at it. This morning, I mean, it's a lovely, lovely. Can you see it? The woods and everything. But the weather's not great. The weather's not great at all. But, I mean, I was going to go for a walk in the woods. Last time I went for a walk in the woods, I went up and then there was a tree blocking my way. So I couldn't go any further. So I could. Let's see. Anyway, I'm feeling much better today and I'm feeling hopeful for the future. Because last week I was starting to edit not videos. If I had any videos. Starting to edit the novels and things that I found on my computer that I have just left for ages. And I was looking at one today that it's probably 7 or 8 years at least since I've done any work on it. And I started it more than that ago. It's a sort of Norse. It's not Vikings, but it's sort of set in Norse times, like 800, more than that, even old. It's like pre-Viking times, if anything. So you've got more leeway, and there's other characters in there. It's just, I was like, oh no, I edited it today and I was like, it's not too bad. So I'm thinking of maybe releasing that in episodic form. And maybe over the summer I can do a sort of novel version. I can read it out or something like that. I don't know. Maybe a podcast or maybe I'm just thinking of ways. And anyway, I've decided rather than go back to the works that I was not enjoying anymore, I'm going to do work that I will enjoy, but it will still be hard work. So I'm going to be editing all the novels and things. There's about 8 that I haven't finished, and I really think I should do something with them. Now, because some of them aren't finished, some of them are sort of nearly finished, but some of them, they're like 60,000 words but not finished. I'm just, if I release them in episodic form in a Charles Dickensy way, then by the time I get to that stage in weeks and weeks time, then maybe I'll work on, because I think there's a few things where you can like interact with the people reading it, if anybody reads it, and if people enjoy one character or one plot point more than another, then I can pursue that. Right, they wouldn't be writing the novel for me, but they might be like keen on a particular person. Very much like if you watch RuPaul's Drag Race, and there's a lot of people that seem to be more popular with the fan base than anyone else. Then they tend to be the people that win, even if the storylines and the editing is saying that they weren't going to win, they probably will win in the end because people like them. So maybe that'll happen with the characters in my novels and the plot points. And the one I was reading today, it was new to me. They're all new to me because it's so long since I left them, so long since I read them. I think the one I was reading today is and editing is better written than the one that I was working on last week that I started to get frustrated with, which was actually an earlier one that I haven't worked on for way longer than that. Like since the early 2000s probably. So who knows? So if you're interested in that sort of thing, then I'll let you know if and when. And not an if, it's a when. It's a when. I just need to find what platform. It's because I want to get. I mean, a lot of them. There's one on Amazon, I think, where you don't get paid for the first couple of chapters because people read them. They get samples, and if they liked it, then they will pay for tokens. I think they buy tokens and then they pay tokens, and you get half of what they. So you get like 50% of what gets paid for it, which it's like not as much as, I mean, you can get like 70% royalties in some things, but that's no good if nobody buys it, is it? And that's the trouble, really. I've got things on Amazon, I've got things that are available on Kindle, whatever it is, on Prime when you get like the Kindle, but nobody reads them, so no good. I know that you're sort of supposed to market things, aren't you? So maybe I just need to work on marketing and stuff like that. I don't know what people think. I'm open to suggestions. Anyway, I can't go to Raglan Castle. So if I was going to do research there, I've already been there. I love Raglan Castle. I've told you about the time that our bus got broken down when I went on a school trip, and we were just watching them build the set for the Time Bandits. Yeah, nobody reads anything. I mean, the trouble is, I thought maybe I can get friends to read some of my stuff and comment on it as a sort of like first readership base. But every time that I sent things to my friends, they wouldn't read them. And I think, oh, it's because my stuff is boring. That's why they haven't read it. But then it turns out that they're just busy and nobody got round to even... It wasn't that they read it and they hated it. They just didn't even bother reading it in the first place, which is fair enough, I suppose. But it doesn't bode well, does it? So it sort of deflated my... Because I was like, yes! And then I'll send them, and it's just... Your confidence gets shattered. After that, the confidence gets completely shattered. And you're just like... I mean, the people that have read them have given good feedback, but then... If you get 100,000 people giving good feedback, it only takes one person giving you terrible feedback to completely shatter any hopes of... It's like, well, that one person that didn't like it and is really mean is the one that it's the one that you're going to listen to every time. I don't know whether that's what you do. That's what I do, for sure. I mean, one mean comment and I'm just on the ground going, oh. And everyone's like, you should be more... Penny Dreadfuls in the live journal. I was thinking of that. Exactly like that, only getting paid for the bits. Exactly like that, Philip. But the Penny Dreadfuls in the live journal days, I signed up for that live journal where you put episodic fiction up. And then I thought, no, because nobody's going to pay me for it and it's wasted. And back in the days, I got some advice that nobody's going to read your stuff if you've ever published anything online. But things have changed now. Oh, thank you. Which one did you like? Oh, I can't. It's gone. These comments are coming and going. Top chat? No, I want all the chat. Yeah. Smoking? My book about smoking? What book about smoking? I don't know what book about smoking that is. But all right then. Is that somebody else? Is it a joke? I don't know. I have got things on available to get if anyone wants to spend money on my stuff. The book I sent you. Did I send you a book? Oh, mental health. I see. I thought you meant one that I published already. Mental health is the one that I was working on last week. And I got really frustrated with because I put it into like Papyrus editing software and it kept saying, this is just, there's too many repeated words, and it was just like, what? And then I realised that the quotation marks were all over the place because it wasn't smart quotations, and I was just going to have to change everything, and I just lost all hope. Whereas the one that I was looking at today, which is Snorri and the Lost Stories, was looking a lot better. I mean, it took me about an hour to go through the suggested edits and stuff, and I was looking, and the quotation marks are single ones, which is more in line with publishing standards in America, whereas the mental health was those ones, and they were bunny ears ones, 66 and 99s, and they were all over the place. So there's varying degrees of editing I'm going to have to do in these 8 novels, and some of them are only like 9,000, some are 20 odd thousand. Most of them are hovering between 50 and 68,000, I think. So I'm just going to have to work on it. But yeah, mental health is, if you like that, I might do something with that. I mean, I sort of ended it. I sort of wrote an ending for it. But then when I was looking for the manuscript, because I've got so many different versions on my computer, I'm like, is that the one that I fit? I mean, there might be a more edited version that I didn't look, because that happened with the Snorri one. I started editing it and I was like, this isn't right. And then I found one that was, because it's so long. So yeah, the key on that one, yeah. I thank you for reading it, because very few people I've sent things to have, or maybe they have and they just don't want to tell me because it's so terrible. I don't know. I don't know what to do. I mean, the one that is probably most finished is called Character Stains, or I could change the name of that, which is set on a college campus, and I don't know. I liked it, but I think I sent it places and they were like, it needs to be more like literary, you need to make it more like literary fiction. I'm like, what do you mean by that? But maybe they just meant it was badly written. I don't know. But then that company didn't, it was Seren Publishing in Wales. They decided, they had a change of management, as they do. And then by the time I contacted them again, they're like, no, we're not publishing novels anymore. And I was like devastated, because they'd given me feedback saying, yes, change it and send it back. And by the time I did it, it was too late, which is what always happens. I've had so many run-ins with editors and agents and all sorts of things, not publishers. Haven't really sent it straight to the publisher, because you're supposed to send it to the agents first. But sometimes you're like, really? So, I mean, a friend of mine got me to send Mental Health ages ago to an editor they knew, and I sent it, and they gave me feedback by email and for free. And I read the first line saying, oh, you shouldn't have mention of, I think there was eBay on the first couple of pages. And in those days, it's a long time ago, it's like, you'll alienate people because nobody sells anything on eBay and they won't understand it. And I was like, no, and I didn't read any further. And that was that. So I didn't follow that up. But, Mental Health, I've noticed that the way that it's written, I can very easily update it to include the present day times, because the way that it is, this guy hasn't left his room for like years and years, and he's selling stuff on eBay, and he's like, now I must go back out in the world and get a job, and then all the weight of the things that have happened to him in his life are just like coming. I mean, I'm gonna have to rearrange it, because there's a lot of backstory that I've put straight up front, because somebody that I was in a writers group, and somebody read it and said, oh, you need to put that more information at the beginning, and I was like, all right then, explain more. And it's all exposition and backstory, and I'm like, spread it through. So yeah, so put the story on eBay, story you just told in the new version. But the eBay, it was in the new version. It's always been in there. It's like 15, 16 years old since I started writing it. And eBay was in it back then. And now eBay's fine. I'm just going to change it. I'm going to put, now that lockdown was over. Aha! Now it's new again. Everything old is new again. So you see the secret. It was the timing. The timing wasn't right. I had to wait for the world to catch up with me and my depressing people staying in their room and not going anywhere mindset. Because now everybody knows what that's like and they can relate to it. Whereas before, and there's all sorts of stuff about people buying things on, not just, there's scams and there's health food shops and there's coffee. There's a lot of coffee and there's cemeteries. And it's got a time and a place, because some of my earlier stuff, it was like, where's this set? It doesn't make any sense. And this is very definitely set just around Abney Park Cemetery. It's a real place. It is relatable. It's like there's a lot of stuff, and I was watching on Netflix. This is related, believe me. I was watching on Netflix the not drama documentary. It's just a documentary about John Wayne Gacy, and that is a little bit related to this as well. Not John Wayne Gacy specifically, but that sort of thing. Jimmy Savile, that sort of thing. It's just current. There's no Tiger King in it. But if I was writing this 2 years ago, Tiger King would have been current, and it would have been the timing was right then. I mean, John Wayne Gacy is from a long time ago, but you know, there's a plot point. There's backstory. It's not the present day thing. And the guy that is the main character is not that sort of person. He's a lovely person that wouldn't do anything like that. But other people in his life, maybe not so much. So, you know, leave it at that. There's a cemetery in it anyway. And you know, the sort of, I've been to Abney Park Cemetery because it's in Stoke Newington. It was my local cemetery. It's a lovely place. If you want to look at the Dinner Party or I Was Never Young, it's the same thing. I Was Never Young, I think I've got it up as The Dinner Party, which is a short film I made ages and ages ago. We actually filmed a little bit in Abney Park Cemetery. Abney Park Cemetery is very interesting that in Victorian times, people used to go around cemeteries and have picnics on a Sunday. That was the nice thing that they used to do, and wander around. So it's like a park, only with graves. And it's not like the Highgate Cemetery, in that Highgate Cemetery's got big tombs and everything. Now, I've sort of written one of the Highgate Cemetery type mausoleums into Abney Park Cemetery, and it doesn't really have any, so it's not really Abney Park Cemetery. But then, you know, it's a fictional thing. It's a real place, but with fictional things in it. So, yay, fiction. And also, I think it's good. I think it's good. Keon liked it as well. So the people, I said nobody had read it, but clearly somebody has. And the Snorri one, which is the Norse one, I think is also good. And it reminds me of, the thing is, it's current in that if you've seen Our Flag Means Death, which is not available in Britain yet, so I haven't seen it at all because I can't, because it's not available in Britain yet. Let me know if it ever is. Anyway, I've seen trailers and stuff and fan stuff, but I haven't seen the whole thing at all. Anyway, there's certain things in the Snorri and the Lost Stories that I was watching the fan fiction, not the fan fiction. I haven't read any of the fan fiction. I was watching the fan videos and stuff and the clips, and I was very reminded. I was like, oh. I mean, even though Snorri and the Lost Stories is set a long time before, there's certain threads in my book that I'm like, oh, that's a bit like that. There's no Blackbeard, obviously. It's set in a different time period with different characters and different storylines, but there are certain things that are similar, if you get my drift. And so I was like, oh, maybe the time's right for that. There's another one that's I started writing, and before the Borgias came on TV, and there's Lucretia Borgia in it. Lucretia Borgia as a teenager, like 13, and she runs away from home and has an adventure in medieval. It's a road trip, really. Like, she goes on a road trip. She goes to see her friend. There's a teenage queen of France at the time. There's teenage queens all over the place in that time of the world in medieval times. People were thrust with power at a young age and got married off at a young age and everything. Anyway, she's like running away from home, and she wants to go and see. But I only got as far as she's on a road trip, and it was sort of in real time. And I got Ollie to read it, and he said that it was boring because it was just them wandering around. Now, things were happening. I thought it was really exciting, but I hadn't really got to the heart of the matter. I was halfway in. It's like 50,000 words, and they've only got to the tip of France. And she's got to get all the way up to, like, Paris area. And it's taken a while to get there. So there's still some going with that. But I gave up and stopped writing it there. And I plotted it and everything. I was looking at medieval maps and how would you get there? And what the socio-political situation in the world is at the time, and everybody's getting expelled from Spain, so she's meeting the people that are expelled from Spain for being Jewish, and she's meeting them on the road, and she's meeting like a pirate from where was it? I don't know, I can't remember, from not Sicily, Corsica, yeah, and all stuff like that. And it was like, oh, I'm really getting into this, and then it's like, oh, it's a boring road trip, and I stopped writing it. And the situation in Italy. So it's not just about the Borgias. Borgias are in it. But then I also stopped writing it because then I saw there was a Borgia TV series, which I have not watched and did not watch because I was like, no. Because I was like, no. There's another one that's got like a Victorian ventriloquist who's based on a real person. And the reason I stopped writing that, and I was really into that, and I did all the research, and I had all sorts of the because he was a musical artist. I had all sorts of musical artists in it, and I had it all planned out. And also I had because the ventriloquist stage name was Lydia Dreams, so I was like, yeah. So I started doing Sumerian mythology, and I wove that in, and I was really, but then I had some backstory about this real person's life. And it was fictional, and then I found out some actual facts, and I look him up on the census, and I was like, the facts, oh no, the fictional thing that I've got is wrong. And then I saw that his great-great-grandchild had done a project on him and was living in Australia, and I was like, no, I can't write it then, because people are, but I'm going to go back to that. Yes, he's a real person, but people write about real people all the time and make things up. I could do that, yes. I did not watch Lucy Lawless on Spartacus Blood and Sand. Oh, she played a Lucretia. She didn't play Lucretia Borgia, did she? Lucretia Borgia with a Z, or a Z if you're American. But Lucretia is a different thing. I've met Lucy Lawless. I think I might have seen Blood and Sand a couple of times, actually, thinking about it. But I've met Lucy Lawless. Did I ever tell you that? Yes, I did. Which it was after she was doing Xena, and she was doing a thing about warrior women on one of the history channels, and she had a photo shoot in South London on the way to Peckham, and I wandered there, and it was a pub just in the middle between the Oval and Peckham. There's a pub that had a photo studio inside it. She is awesome. And I knocked on the door of this pub thinking, I'm lost. Is this actually it? It's a pub. What? I knocked on the door, and the door opened, and this tall blonde woman, and I was like, hello, I'm here to see Lucy Lawless. And then I looked at her and went, oh, you are Lucy Lawless, aren't you? And she's like, I am. And I was like, ah. Idiot, I'm such an idiot, because I didn't recognise her. She's a tall, blonde, willowy woman. I was expecting a big, muscly Xena warrior princess woman, and, you know, she's both things at once. But at that time, she had flowing, sort of, honey blonde hair, and she's very thin and tall. She's tall, and she's obviously Lucy Lawless with Lucy Lawless's face, but I did not recognise her straight away. But as soon as I said it, I realised. Anyway, I went inside and I interviewed her, and I watched the photo shoot on the roof. It was a photo shoot on the roof of a pub on the way to Peckham in the middle of it's just like ridiculous. Anyway, that's beside the beside. Maybe I should write something for Lucy Lawless. Yeah, maybe Lucy Lawless could be actually. In Snorri and the Lost Stories, there is actually part she could play. More than one part she could play. If Lucy Lawless was interested, why not? I mean, this person is a lot younger than Lucy Lawless is now, but why not? Things, you know, age it up, that's fine. She's not that old. She's I'm sure she'd be lovely in it. Yeah, why not? But yeah, the thing is with Snorri and the Lost Stories is because there are certain plot points that are, and have been since it was written, which is more than 12 years ago now, that are similar with something like Our Flag Meets Death. There's Our Flag Meets Death? Our Flag Means Death. There are certain plot points, but they are like Shakespearean, really. And actually in Lucretia and it's called Dangerous Times, that one, there is certain plot points that are also the same. I do get the same plot points turning up. The same, yeah, I really struggle. Like in the mental health one, there are certain plot points that are in every single others and every single one that I've written, really. Bar maybe one that didn't turn up in that one because I was trying not to. It's like, I always do this. I'm going to steer away from it. Really steer away from it and avoid that and go somewhere else. But it doesn't come back. It always comes back. There's certain things. I don't know. So yeah, I'm going to probably do that. And also I'm not going to go to Edinburgh. I was thinking maybe I would. Maybe I changed my mind. But then all the prices have shot up. I was looking and they're too expensive. Somebody I know did say that I could sleep on their sofa again. And they moved, they're nearer to the town centre now. So I could do that. But I'm like, oh. And if I didn't do that, then it would be thousands of pounds. And I haven't got thousands of pounds. And I need to just stay here. So what I'm probably going to do, almost certainly, is come back to visit my parents in the summer. And they seem to want me to stay here, so that's nice. And I can do my show from here. And I haven't cut out, the internet hasn't cut out yet, has it? Has it buffered? No, it's, unless I'm just talking into thin air, which is very possible. So it might be better, it might be good. And I will do a show, which is very similar to my show last year, where I just do whatever you want me to do and do a big show. I mean, I know I'm just talking now, but it's going to be more like thematic and direction-y. Fine internet, yeah. There's going to be more direction to it, and it'll be. I mean, if you want to go and see my show from last year, the internet's not good on it, and it's all a bit shaky, but there will be more of you to view. Yes, there will be more of me to view. I will be on almost every day, I think. I maybe have some day off, and I will probably by then have got some of these episodic fictional things out. Because to be honest, I've all but given up on the conventional publishing route, because all those years ago I stopped doing it because it's like, you'll never get published properly if you publish on the internet. It's like, well, you never get published properly anyway, unless you're going to be like some blockbuster J.K. Rowling, and who wants to be that? Not me. No, thank you, Siri Bob, all those people. Siri and Bob never did anything to me. Why am I dissing them? Anyway, I mean, you'd want that money and that level of fame, but would you want to be that person? I wouldn't, to be honest. But that level of fame and notoriety, not notoriety actually, that level of fame and influence, but it's a poison chalice, which I think that J.K. Rowling is probably beginning to understand. It is a poison chalice. But I can still do it on my own. I'll be an indie publisher, which is not respectable maybe, but more respectable than it was. And as Philip said, it's like the Penny Dreadful thing. It's no Siri Bob, exactly. It is the way back in the day thing. I mean, Walt Whitman published his own poems. He published them and he just kept adding to it, and he travelled around America reading his poems to people, maybe. And that was perfectly fine. And most of the people in the olden days published themselves. All of the Bloomsbury group, they published themselves. Yeah, it was a publishing company, but they were pretty much publishing themselves with that. And Dickens, he published his own magazine and then went around America reading sections from it. And he didn't finish his novels until he saw what the public thought of them. It was like, well, is little Nell going to die? Oh, is little Nell going going to die. And everyone's like, don't kill little Nell. And what did he do? Spoilers. If you've not read The Old Curiosity Shop, it's not Little Dorrit. Little Dorrit's in Little Dorrit. Little Nell is not in Little Dorrit. She's in The Old Curiosity Shop. Is Little Nell going to die? Right, spoilers. Go away if you don't want to know. Little Nell did die. Even though everybody said don't kill her, he still did it. So even if everyone goes, do this is how you should do the plot point, still ultimately it's up to the person writing it. It's like, I'm sorry, I was going to do that anyway. But, you know, you can still be influenced like, oh, right, well, that sounds like yes. Okay, that's how it'll go. That is how it'll go. Anyway, that is how I will go. I'm going to go downstairs now, have a lovely cup of tea, and maybe look at my novels, my many novels. It's hundreds of thousands of words worth of novels. I have got a lot of material to be working on. So, thank you. I know you're Welsh. Sorry, I didn't see that. I just missed that comment. I know you're Welsh, but accent West Country. Yes, exactly. I'm from the southeast Wales, Barry. So, I've got slightly flatter vowels than a lot of people in my area. I think it's a cultured. I was trying to sound less Welsh when I was a kid, and it's just because I've lived other places too that it's sort of flattened around. So it sounds West Country, but it is a bit West Country, but it's not supposed to be. That's not where I'm from. I'm from Southeast Wales. Anyway, I am going now after going on again, and I've missed a few comments because I'm like looking at this side of the screen and the comments are on the other side of the screen, and it's very difficult to see because they keep disappearing and my screen's that big. All right then, I will see you. Thank you for my 5 thumbs up, my 5 viewers. I've got a thumbs up from everyone. Bye bye, bye bye Arafingal, bye bye Philip, bye bye Barry, bye bye Jerry, bye bye Keon, and anyone else? Bye bye Terry. Yes, I missed your Terry. Evening, Terry. Sorry that I didn't see your thing. So bye bye everyone, and bye bye people that have come later. And if by any chance you feel like commenting that you hate this and I'm dull and boring, just don't, because I'll just delete it and block you from the channel. I know that's very, very petty of me, but it makes me feel very sad when people are mean to me, and I'll probably just cry like this and then move on. I will move on. Eventually, I will. All right then, bye-bye.